Hello, my name is Renee, and I'm the founder and owner of Let's Roll Store, home of the Let's Roll Cruiser Motorcycle Dolly and Lift. Welcome to the Let's Roll Motorcycle Interview Show, where I interview industry leaders in the field of motorcycles. All right, so let's roll and get to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Roll Interview Motorcycle Show. And today we have a very special guest. We have Katie and Adam Halstead of X-Treme Bikes. So welcome, Adam and Katie.
Hello.
Thank you, Renee, for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Adam, tell us a little bit about your background.
So motorcycles have pretty much always been a part of my life. I remember my parents riding when I was young, but by the time I came to the age of actually being able to ride myself, they were divorced and single mom, really couldn't afford to buy me a motorcycle or anything. So I never really grew up with them per se. And then in the early 90s, a friend of mine had a motorcycle and he kind of started teaching me how to ride it in my wife's neighborhood right out front of her house. And that kind of got the bug going. That's when I fell in love with motorcycles and realized that the rest of my life had to revolve around it. And then a few years later, a very good friend of mine decided to go look at MMI, which is the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute down in South Florida. And he was thinking about going to school to become a motorcycle mechanic. He didn't want to go down there by himself, so he asked me if I'd tag along. And I said, sure. And after we toured the school and looked at everything, he inadvertently decided not to go. And I signed up. And
what year was that?
So no, I was like 97 because I graduated in 98. Yeah, so it had to be like 97 because
yeah.
No, were you guys together at that point?
Yeah.
Yes, we were together. We weren't.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were. No,
we were married.
We got married while I was in school.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So when I started school, we weren't married yet, but by the time we graduated school, we were married. And I really enjoyed school, and I did very well academically there, which was surprising because I didn't do very good academically in high school. One of the stories I kind of love to tell is like, in order to get accepted to the school, they wanted you to take basically like an ASMAT test, to see what your skills are, whether you can understand basic mechanical knowledge and so on and so forth. But it costs $200 to take that class, or I'm sorry, to take that test.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, we were so broke that like we couldn't spare the $200 without not paying our light bill or not paying our rent or something. So we decided to smooze my mom. So we cooked like a fancy spaghetti dinner. It wasn't very fancy, but invited her for dinner and cooked her dinner and all this other stuff so that basically I could hit her up to borrow the $200 to go to school. And I remember the look on her face when I asked for it. Because I was such a horrible student in high school. I mean, I did not want to be in school at all. I hated school. And I basically just barely passed school. I mean, I did everything I could do to just pass and then nothing more because I didn't want to be there. So when I asked her to go back to school and that I needed the money, she just had this look on her face like, you're my son and I love you, so I'm going to give you the $200. But she kind of felt like she was throwing the money away, And so I took the test and passed it with flying colors. I enrolled, got financial aid, all the other stuff. And then, it turns out because I had a passion for it, my grades were phenomenal. I went through all these different courses and clinics with grade point averages of 97s and 99s, like, straight A student, typically, if it wasn't vocational, because I really cared about it and I enjoyed it. I was learning a lot of stuff that I didn't know, but also reconfirming a lot of stuff that I already kind of knew.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit because when you do have a passion and you feel like there is a purpose there that you something really enjoy, you are going to do well.
Yeah,
that's a great story. Is there any more you wanted to say to that?
Well, yeah, I didn't get into the industry right away after graduating. Times were tough back then, and nobody wanted to pay me anything that was worthwhile as a unexperienced technician. We're talking people wanting to pay me $5.50 or $6 an hour to come in and sweep up parking lots. And then hopefully maybe someday I can qualify to get the real technician some lunch or something like that. And then maybe start learning. And at the time, our son was just being born. We already had our daughter. I needed more than $6 an hour to survive. And I was already making better money than that, doing what I was doing to work my way through school. So I didn't go right into the industry. It took a while. And then a great opportunity popped up to gain some experience. I was waiting tables at a steakhouse at night, and one of the other servers there was an amateur AMA racer, or sorry, CCS class racer. And him and I just got to talking because we both had a passion for motorcycles. And one of the problems he had is out at the racetrack, he didn't have any like physical support. He had a guy in town that was, servicing the bike and building the bike for him. But once he took the bike to the racetrack, that guy wasn't there. And, the racetrack, toured multiple tracks around the country. Well, Southeast anyways. And so he's like, man, it would be great if I had somebody like you there to do this. So basically I started going out to the races with him, strictly volunteer. I didn't get paid or anything, but it was just to get my foot in the door, to get that experience. And I really enjoyed that because I love the whole racing atmosphere. I've never been a racer myself, but I've always loved being around motorcycle racing. But I also got to learn a lot and kind of got that experience there. And then, you fast forward many, many years. In 2007, we actually took over a motorcycle shop that was being poorly managed by a husband and wife that weren't getting along and were kind of going through a divorce. So the business was going downhill. We had an opportunity to kind of take that over and bring it back up. And we did. We turned it into a more profitable business. And then somehow I kind of started working these motorcycle rallies, just one here, one there in Daytona Beach, since we were based in Orlando at the time. And I really loved working the rallies. So we just kind of phased the business into that. So in 2012, we actually closed the store and started going strictly to the motorcycle rallies.
Wow. So
we are now.
What's that?
Which is, where we're at now, 15 years later. The motorcycle.
Yeah, wow. So that was in 2012.
2012 is when we locked the doors on the brick and mortar store.
So Katie, you are an RN, is that correct?
I was an LPN.
Or an LPN. Okay, cool. So at that moment, were you going to school at any point or had you, give us your background.
In the early years, I went to cosmetology school, was a cosmetologist for a little while. And then in my 30s, I went to school for nursing and was an LPN until 2015 when I had a motorcycle accident. I had to give it up.
Oh, wow.
And then I went on the road with him full time. And I've been on the road with him full time ever since.
Oh, wow. So as the timestamp is, you were married when you bought the business from that couple that was not doing extreme bikes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you just kind of phased into the whole racing thing with that guy
well, the racing was before that, long before that.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's really cool. That's really good backstory.
Thank you.
So at that point, how bad was your accident? Like what happened, Katie?
I hit gravel and low-sided, landed on my left side 3 times and had to be airlifted to Mission Hospital on our anniversary.
Oh my gosh. Well, it looks like you survived. So thank goodness.
I did. I survived.
That's great.
So, and then I've just been on the road with him ever since, just kind of, building the business, doing mostly the retail end of it, signing up Amsoil accounts and that kind of thing, and just supporting him.
Right. So you kind of run the whole sales background, as when you're touring to the rallies and making sure you got everything stocked up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in the very beginning, I was doing it by myself. Like you said, she was still a full-time nurse at the time. So I was doing the rallies by myself, which was challenging as they started to get busier.
Yeah.
And then when she came along, basically handle all the sales and writing the customers up, and I would just do all the work. And then as we grew from there, then we hired Chip, and we've had a couple other employees along the way as well. And then now we're fairly well fully staffed.
Yeah.
And we've gone from doing like in a weekend show, doing 20 motorcycles to doing a couple hundred motorcycles sometimes.
So when you're saying doing, so let's say someone who's watching this right now doesn't exactly know what it is that you do at these rallies. Can you give us a little, just tell us what exactly you guys do there at the rallies?
Yeah, well, primarily, we're Amsoil dealers. So Amsoil was what we started with. It's always been our flagship brand that we've carried. And believe it or not, we simply do oil changes. It's not an overly complicated process. We're able to get a lot of motorcycles in and out. We make a smaller amount of profit on every motorcycle. But like I said, in Daytona, we can service 350 motorcycles in that 9 or 10 days that we're there. where we could probably do bigger, more expensive jobs, but do a whole lot less of them because they would be more time consuming. And it's just something that worked out really, really well. Even though I'm a fully certified technician, there's not much on a motorcycle I can't do. We limit what we do with the rallies just to keep that pace up. And I think it works out better in the long run. And then back in 2015, we decided to pick up the Love Jugs cooling system line. So I reached out to them, talked to them, made a deal to become a dealer with them. And we started carrying that product as well because it complemented the Amsoil. The two products together were really good at stopping motorcycles from having that internal engine damage, from the oils getting cooked and engine overheating and so on and so forth. And then along the way, we've added and removed a number of products as well. We also carry batteries. We carry your dolly system. We carry other dipsticks and miscellaneous items that kind of fit in with the service that we do.
I noticed that when, obviously you are doing the oil changing service, but if someone comes in and they have a particular problem and you're running a little slow and you feel like, oh yeah, I can help this guy out, I can do this real quick. Sometimes that's something that you do, right? We
definitely try to. Now, we're not always able to. We are limited by the tools and the equipment that I have there because of what we specialize in. I can't bring the entire shop with me.
Yeah, that's
so there are times I just have to tell somebody that I can't help them.
Yeah.
But there are things that we are capable of doing as long as we've got the time, that I'll do whatever I can to help somebody out. I never want to leave anybody stranded or in a spot where they can't get help. So we just do whatever we can to try to help them.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I just have to say, and I don't know if you've got a video of it, but Talon, your son, when I was there at Sturgis, so basically you have this huge platform that you put the bikes up on to change the oil, and then when you're done, you just roll them off. But I was so impressed with Talon, the way he just literally with two hands behind just rolled them right down off the ramp, and I was just like, wow.
So impressed with that. I taught him how to do it the way I do it. I've been doing it like that for 20-something years, and everybody's always seems to be amazed that I don't drop bikes. And it's just, once you learn how to control it, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get a clip of that. I'd really like to share that with our viewers.
Okay.
Tell me about your health app called TruePath, and how it got started.
Because the accident, I've had a lot of medical issues because of the accident, and because of Western medicine being one way, I got to the point where I'm like, there has to be another way. I can't just be stuck in, that I can only, they want to put a spinal stimulator in me. And I was like, that fixes the problem. And they're like, no. And I'm like, then why would I do it? So I told Adam 2 years ago, August, I said, I think I want to create an app. And he kind of looked at me like, okay, what kind of app? And I said, a holistic one. I said, I can't be the only one who's sick and tired of being sick and tired. And there has to be, practitioners out there who can help people with chronic conditions. So that's where TruePath Holistic was born. Didn't start working on it until November of 2022, and got most of it set up by January. And then it got locked down with Apple because they had to, from what I understood, was recode, because the app was very different than any other app they'd had. So it took 5 months for them to release it on the actual platform. So I couldn't even work on it. I was just told, leave it alone for 5 months until they release it. And then Google went ahead and said, okay, if Apple does it, we do it. And then I had that was during when we left for Sturgis that year. So couldn't do a whole lot with it. And then I was able to take, after we got home, I did a bunch of stuff on the app so that we could launch it in November at the Natural Living Expo in Marlborough, Massachusetts. So last year was when we actually went public with it. We just got back from Massachusetts doing the expo again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what do you do at the expo?
Mostly try to get end users and advertisers, and try to get the name out and the information out to people, which has been wonderful. People have been very receptive. Even his subscribers have been receptive to it. And a lot of people are like, yeah, this has been needed for a long time.
It's really just marketing, because we don't actually have a product to sell other than the app itself.
Yeah.
free to the user. So it's not like when we set up at a motorcycle rally, we're selling tangible products and providing service. Here, we're just marketing. We're trying to spread the name. We're trying to get people to use the product itself so that it becomes more well-known.
Yeah, makes sense.
And what's nice is that right now it's just the United States, but I mean, there's people out in Europe and India, other countries that I want to put on there. I shall just get United States taken care of first. So that's what I've been working on, so that when people travel, they can find practitioners. So if someone's looking for an acupuncturist and they're in Michigan, they pull up acupuncture, Michigan, and they can find people that are in that area where they can find acupuncturists to help them with whatever services they're needing.
Nice. And how's the reception been?
It's been good. Trying to get people to download it sometimes is challenging, because they're like, oh, well, I'll do it later. And, people forget, so it doesn't happen. I do have a Facebook of the same name. And so I'm advertising that way as well, and just putting tidbits of information out that's easily digestible for people. I think that's better than having like a long script where, sorry, where it's really challenging for people to kind of get the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are very visual people, and they also can be people who read. So having a picture with information on it that's short and sweet and gets to the point, I think reaches people better. So that's what I try to do on Facebook, or like the reels or the shorts or whatever's coming, whatever they call it, through TikTok or Instagram or, that kind of thing.
Does it help you with any of the social media marketing?
No, I'm not very good at it at all.
Our son Talon is helping us with that. So
that's good.
He's like, hey, you can do this, or let's try that, or, that kind of thing.
No, we did decide to start her a YouTube channel, and I will help her with that because that's something that I've kind of got a little bit of a knack for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the short form stuff, like the reels and the TikToks and Instagrams, I'm not as good at that. So we're letting our children, who are younger generation, tune to that stuff. We're letting them kind of spearhead that operation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like our son Talon is doing he's doing Snapchat, and Facebook will kind of launch on the Instagram for me. He's got a TikTok for me that he's working on for both me and his dad. So that's kind of the direction we're going right now, especially with us being off the road. I can't talk to people because we're not on the road. So this is what we're doing over the next 3 months to try to bring in more end users, because then the advertisers are more likely to want to advertise with me.
Absolutely. Good. Well,
so it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. You just keep taking those steps and you'll get there. You'll be there. That's right. Yeah. So let's jump back to the rallies real quick. And you guys, when you travel via Goliath, is that correct?
That is correct.
So give us a little story about Goliath.
So Goliath is my 1987 GMC General. It started life as a dump truck, and then was converted into one of the world's largest RVs. It's 48 feet long, which is bigger than most. Most states have a 45-foot limit on them, so it's very rare you see one that's more than 45 feet. All custom built, one-off. It wasn't like a mass-produced thing. In fact, look, he's on my shirt. I'm wearing him right now. That's the rig. And then we tow a large trailer behind that, a 28-foot stacker, like car hauler type trailer that would keep all the tools and equipment in. So Goliath is just the home. It's the living area. We do have some storage in it where we keep some inventory, batteries and oils and so on and so forth. But 90% of the actual equipment goes into the trailer itself, and it becomes part of the mobile display. The awning's built off of it. So we're always living on site with our products while we're there, and we never have to search for hotel rooms. It's just works pretty well for the most part.
Perfect. And so there's is there a built-in kitchen or?
Yeah, it's a full house on wheels, basically. There's a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, closets, the whole 9 yards. Nice. Full shower.
Love it. So when you guys go to these rallies, do you sometimes make like a trip out of it? Do you say, oh, we're going to take a few extra days and we're going to go see these sites and, kind of make a little.
Whenever we can. And we did it more when we first started going to some of the rallies when we were new to them. We did some out in Arizona. So yeah, we took time to go see the Grand Canyon. We
were also smaller.
Yeah. But we took time to go see like the Painted Desert. What was the one with the Indians in the side of the cliffs?
Walnut Creek or Walnut something.
Yeah, Walnut Canyon or something like that. And we learned a lot. It was really neat. In fact, we said that we've learned more that first 10 years on the road than we ever learned in school. About, just our history and our landscape and stuff, because we didn't do much traveling when we were younger. And now that we go to the same places kind of over and over again, we don't always feel that need to be there early anymore. But we do take advantage of some time in between the shows. And it doesn't always happen, but there are times that between Panama City and Galveston at the end of the year, sometimes we have to hurry up and get there because we've only got one day to get there. But there's other times that the way the schedules,
it might be a week.
Yeah, sometimes it's like 10 days from the close of one to the open of the next. So we've taken time in New Orleans to just kind of hang out. We've gone to Biloxi, Mississippi and hung out. We've kind of taken time to do that because at that point, it doesn't make much sense to go back home because of what it costs for fuel and everything to drive the rig back home and then turn around and come right back just a couple of days later. It's actually cheaper and more affordable for us to find something to do there. And the last couple of years, between the Deadwood, South Dakota rally and the Sturgis rally, we've usually got about 2 weeks every year, anywhere between like 14 and 18 days. And we've been taking that time to go explore more out west. We've been going out to Montana and Wyoming. This year we explored probably 80% of Yellowstone National Park, as well as a bunch of other little parks kind of in there as well. And
there's a lot to see out there.
There's a lot.
Much. And our plan is to continue doing that over the next few years too. We've actually got like the next 2 or 3 years planned out to go to different places, but in that same time period where we just leave the rig parked in Rapid City, we get on the motorcycles and just make it a motorcycle trip.
Nice. Now, do you generally, you have a car with you as well?
We do not.
Well, we're all on bikes now.
Okay. So you're strictly Goliath with bikes.
Yep.
And so when you head out and you go anywhere, it's via motorcycle.
Most of the time. Now, on this trip to Yellowstone, because our son was with us and he had his dog, we didn't want to leave her, obviously, for 2 weeks. She doesn't travel well on a motorcycle. Plus, between all of us, we had quite a bit of luggage and other things we wanted to take with us. So in this case, we rented a car and Katie drove the car. The rest of us rode our bikes, but that way we had that support vehicle there as well.
Yeah, that was
needed.
Yeah, which came in really handy, but we only rented the car for the 2 weeks. The rest of the year, our motorcycles are our only transportation. We do have friends that have trucks and stuff like that on the road, and there are occasions where I have to borrow one, like to move the trailer or something like that. And usually they're pretty lenient in letting us do stuff like that. We always try to help each other out. All the vendors out there pretty much do.
Yeah. So what has been your favorite trip that you've taken on bikes?
I would have to say this year going to Yellowstone for me was the best. We got to see amazing sights. Yeah. And it was, I know that she was driving the car, but for me, Amanda and Talon, it was 8 days with basically the motorcycle was the only transportation we had. We didn't go a huge distance. I think it was only about 1,600 miles. 500 of it was getting to Yellowstone, 500 was coming back. But when you're in Yellowstone or in the parks, you're not really packing on a lot of miles every day. You're on your bike all day long, but you're going from site to site. You're getting off, you're walking around for an hour, moving to another site, getting off, walking around for an hour. But still, just to me, that was the most amazing just road trip that I've ever taken, I think.
You too, Katie?
Yeah, that was really, really cool.
Well, actually, last year when we did our anniversary trip, that was a good road trip too. We did
that
our cruise.
Wasn't though on bikes.
I know it wasn't on motorcycles, but it was still a good road trip. So
yeah.
Oh, that's great that you can take the time to do some sightseeing. I think that's really important that you do take time out to do things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer that every American should see their country. There's so much that, a lot of people don't travel. I know that some people are very well traveled, but as I was younger, my only traveling was really just to go see family. So I grew up in Orlando area. We had family in New York. So we were back and forth between the two, and I got to see that, but that was it. It was only once every couple of years. So when we started doing this for a living, we got to see a whole lot more places at a much faster frequency. And I was just amazed at the beauty of the country that I never got to see before. And I just think it's important that people that don't travel should actually get out there and see what this country actually has to offer.
Yeah. It's very diverse. Very, very diverse. Just the landscape, and just, people in the West are very different from the people on the East Coast, and even down in the Southwest and Southeast. I mean, it's just everybody, there's so many different diversities and textures to the land, and, this kind of thing. And it's just, we've been to 49 states for different reasons that we like them. You know how he is with his tacos. So, we try to hit taco joints everywhere we go. And down in Texas, it's more Tex-Mex, and it's very different up in the Northeast. It's different in the Southwest. And I think that people need to get out there just to kind of just experience life and stay, get out of their bubble,
Oh, I agree 100%. So a couple more questions. I was just wondering, do you guys have like one of your craziest road trips that you've ever taken that's just, you look back and you're like, oh my God, that was crazy?
I don't know. I think because we work motorcycle industry stuff, I don't think a lot of stuff seems crazy to us, because some people think just what we do for a living is crazy. Because we're always at a bike week. There's always a party going on. There's always something happening. Even
the only one that I can think of that people would be like, how did you guys do this? Is when we were doing some rallies out in the Southwest, and like Nevada and stuff, the truck broke down, and we had to be in Panama City, or not Panama City. We had to be in Myrtle, and we had to buy a truck. And that truck ran for 30 hours. Team driving with a trailer.
Yeah, there were three of us, and we only pulled over to put fuel in the truck, and like
switch drivers.
Yeah, switch drivers. I was literally sleeping on the floor behind the seats while somebody else was driving, and then we would rotate around because we had like 4 days to get from Arizona. Actually, we had like 7 days, I think, to get from Arizona.
But we had to
Florida.
Decide on the truck.
But then the truck broke, and it took a couple of days to figure out what was wrong with the truck. And then we finally got it into a dealership, and then they said, well, we can't fix it now. We got to order parts. So then we realized that we weren't going to make it. So I actually bought another truck just to get where we were going. And we literally pulled in like just in time to start setting up. But we pushed the limits on it. But it was a long drive.
And then we went to Myrtle Beach, and he had to rebuild the top end of the engine.
Yeah, the truck I just bought.
In the car wash.
I had to fix it. Because it pushed me a little bit.
So was it just a couple of years ago?
That was back in 2018.
That was 2018. Okay. Because
seems like that was crazy.
Seems like I remember watching a video on YouTube where one of your vehicles, was it Goliath or your camper, that broke down? One of the two, or something wasn't running right, or I don't remember.
Well, yeah, this year we had a situation where Goliath broke, and then I broke him worse trying to fix him. And we spent 10 days in a truck stop in Fultonville, New York. And luckily there was a shop there that worked with us and kind of cut us a deal and let us use their shop space. But still, to get some of these hard to find parts for that truck and everything, it took us 10 days to get out of that truck stop, which kind of sucked. I don't know if I consider that wild or crazy, but it was definitely an experience.
We'll back up, because before that, we had a turkey fly into the truck and hit the windshield where I was, and then it killed it. Went flying everywhere.
Oh my God!
Beforehand.
Yeah, that's true. That whole trip. If you take the trip from Laconia all the way out to South Dakota, between hitting the turkey and then literally an hour later the truck breaking down, and then getting stuck for 10 days, missing the ride that we were supposed to go on, having to cut our family time short with family we were going to visit along the way
in New York.
And then we met up with Amanda going across
I forgot about that,
like Iowa and stuff like that. And then we're following her across South Dakota, and she had a hen pheasant fly out in front of her on her motorcycle, and she killed the hen pheasant, but it splattered hen parts all over.
She had stuff in her helmet. I mean, it was everywhere.
I mean, she's doing 80, 85 mile an hour.
And she slowed down enough because she saw two of them taking off. One went right by her head. The other went right into her bike.
but I mean, it was a big bird. It wasn't like a little
No,
bird.
this thing
I mean,
was huge.
it was like a small turkey. It was a hen pheasant, but it had to have been every bit of 12, 13 pounds. And it just flew right in front of her, got jammed in the bike, and literally just parts
And the
all
engine
over her.
parts and everything. It was
Yeah.
so bad.
So she called Katie. We pulled off the same exit, and like we're pulling out the hose on Goliath and washing her bike and everything, and trying to let her get cleaned up. And he's like, yeah, that was
Thank
kind of crazy.
goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness you had that hose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole trip was a handful, to say the least.
A handful?
A handful.
A
Yeah.
handful.
So 2 more questions. Adam, you're always making videos for your YouTube channel. What and why is that so important for you to do that?
Truth is, I think it's just kind of a good creative outlet for me. It's something I never thought I would do, and I procrastinated for many, many years starting it. And then now it's actually kind of become habit. It's just part of my day for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's very trying at times, it's very time consuming, there's a part of me that actually enjoys doing it. And it has been very good for our business. I mean, I am making money with YouTube itself, nothing to really brag about, on an annual basis. But what it has supplemented into our actual business has helped us, given us that exposure that we needed. And we've built this viewer base that I just think is amazing. I mean, we've met people that have been really, really great people that we
really
never
wonderful
met.
people.
Had
he not done that,
yeah, and it's one of those things like, on a whim, you kind of start to do it, and you don't really realize the overall effect that it has on not only yourself, but the people that watch the channel. We've had so many people come up to us at rallies and just say thank you, because they enjoy the video so much that, like, some people are upset if I don't put one out on a certain day. I mean, I don't really have a set schedule. When we're at rallies and it's rally season, you get one almost every day. When we're home, it's not as often because there's not as much exciting stuff going on. But we've had people come up, and the one I like to use that I thought was the most amazing, that really humbled me quite a bit. And this was back in the first year.
The first year, yeah.
We weren't even a very big channel at the time. But this gentleman came into our booth in Panama City Beach, shook my hand, said thank you. And then he explained to me that somehow when he watches my videos, it calms him down. Just the tone of my voice or whatever the storyline is that we're doing. And I didn't quite get it. I didn't understand what he meant. So he went in more in depth, and apparently he suffers from PTSD from, he was a retired military. And I don't know all the details, but, I understand that's a real thing that people, struggle with. And when he gets that anxious feeling or that unrest feeling that people with that syndrome, I guess, suffer from, and he watches my video and it calms him down. And to me, that was just, it was almost head exploding to hear. So I'm like, I never thought the day that I decided to pick up my cell phone and record myself that someday I'd be offering something like that to a person that was medically beneficial. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that not everybody has that result from it, but that really kind of hit me hard with him telling me that story and how thankful he was that I took the time to put these videos out for him to watch.
Yeah, and the fact that he, reached out to you, and he did come to a rally, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it was at a rally.
Yeah, that he said this. I think that's really,
yeah.
That says a lot as well to share, what exactly you've done for him, which is really cool. I really like it.
It was just amazing. And we've had a lot of people come out and go, you know what? I've never been to a motorcycle rally in my life, but I was watching your video. One guy was that day. He was watching the video that morning. He lived up somewhere like North Alabama or something like that. He goes, you know what? I've never been to a rally in my life. He goes, I was watching your video this morning, decided to get on my bike and ride down. And to me, I was just like, that's just crazy that I had that kind of influence. I wasn't trying to influence that by any means.
Yeah.
It's weird that it works that way.
And what's funny too is like when we did our Alaska trip a year ago, August, a lot of subscribers were watching it, mostly the men. And there was a couple of them that we saw in the fall, and one of them came in, they're like, love the Alaska videos. You just cost me a lot of money. And I'm like, what do you mean? well, I'm watching you guys do your Alaska trip. And my wife comes in and goes, what are you doing? Watching Amsoil Adam. That's a cruise ship. And that looks like Alaska.
It's not our normal
they're
stuff.
in Alaska. This is for their 25th wedding anniversary. And they sit and they started watching. Oh, they're doing that. I want to go there. We need to plan a trip. So we had, I think that year, we had like 4 or 5 people between, Ocean City, Panama City, Daytona, and Texas saying, yep, you cost me money. I had booked a cruise to Alaska because my wife saw the video with me and she wants to go to Alaska now. So it just kind of cracks. You don't know what effect you're going to have on people that you touch that you may not meet. Like he met somebody recently, well, in Daytona, a gentleman from, was it Scotland?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And he was wearing a kilt. He came rushing up to Adam, and Talon was like, I wasn't sure if he was going to punch you or what was going on. And he goes, I don't even know how he said it, but he just wanted to shake Adam's hand because he watches him across the pond. So we have people in New Zealand. We have people in the UK, Scotland, Ireland.
Met somebody from Kuwait this year that came up,
Mm-hmm.
saw me in a Wawa parking lot and looked at me and was like, you're Amsoil Adam. And then we got to talking, and he was from Kuwait. And I was like, I didn't know people watch me in Kuwait. He's like, no, you're huge in Kuwait. I'm like, I had no clue.
So you don't realize the ripple effect from being a YouTuber, but also we're friends with other YouTubers as well. And I think that we do something very different than a lot of YouTubers. And I've said this to a couple of the YouTubers that we do talk to. I said, you guys schedule a meet and greet. From the time he opens that door and opens the curtains and comes out, we're doing a meet and greet for the next however many days we're there, for however long we're open, whether it be 9 to 6 or 10 to 2 in the morning or whatever we're doing. It's very different, and we're constantly meeting people. We've had people come to us while we're setting up just because they wanted to see if he's the same person in person as he is when he's behind the camera, Wow. So you don't realize the effect, but it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, which we need more of that, obviously.
Yeah, so many YouTubers, when they film something, even if they go to an event, they film it, but it may not come out till days or weeks or even months later by the time they edit it. So the people watching the video, there's no way for them to go, oh man, I wish I would have known, I would have went, but it was so long ago. But with what we do, everything is basically real time. So when you see me today, it's because I'm preparing for what I've got to do tomorrow. But tomorrow is actually the day I'm going to go do that. So when you see it, you kind of know what we're doing. And everybody knows what Bike Week is. So when you see me gearing up and packing the trailer and servicing the truck to get it ready to go to Bike Week, and you're going to go to Bike Week too, you know that you've got that opportunity to come see me. And it's just very different. So like I said, for that 10 days or 4 days or however long it is, it's gotten to a point where it's one after the other, where it's very seldom that there's not somebody there that doesn't know who we are, but just kind of neat.
Yeah, it is really neat. I know that when I've gone to your channel and I've watched you, particularly when you were doing a setup right before one of the rallies, but I have to say that the way that you're doing it, the way that you're speaking, and the way you're showing what's getting done and how you edit, it just holds my interest. And I just find myself, I'm like, geez, I'm going to end up watching the whole thing.
You see that, and I think that's crazy. And I know that most I hate to call myself an artist, but most people that do things are usually their own worst critic.
Right.
And I've heard so many people say that they love the way I do my videos, and at the same time, like I'm looking at some of the stuff I do, I'm like, man, this is kind of boring. I look at what other YouTubers do, I'm like, man, I wish I could make something more like that. But then at the same time, I'll make a video that I don't think is that great, and it'll be a video that I get a lot of praise from, that people really seem to like it. So I never really know what's gonna
hit with somebody.
And it's not like I've tried to copy somebody else's style. I didn't know what I was doing when I started. I just kind of fell into it. I learned a couple of tricks along the way, and I guess my style is my style, and it doesn't really matter what we're doing. That style stays about the same. Back to the cruise content, we don't do cruise content per se, but when we were going to take that first cruise that we took while we had a YouTube channel, I actually asked the viewers, look, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to go on a cruise to Alaska. It's not our normal content. Do you guys want to see that? I actually asked people, do you want to see it? Or, or no, because I understand if you're in here for the Harleys, then great, watch the Harleys. And I was perfectly content with taking my cruise and not filming anything. And overwhelmingly, I mean, we only had like 5,000 subscribers at the time. I think it's 7, maybe. It wasn't as big of a base as we have now. But overwhelmingly, comment after comment after comment said, no, show us. We want to see it all. And then so we go do the cruise, and I upload 7 or 8 videos from the cruise ship. And then afterwards, I got people saying, you know what? I watch a lot of cruise channels, and your content was better than the people that specialize in the cruise channel content. And I don't see that, but at the same time, like, they see something I don't see, because I guess it's too much in my face for me to realize what they're seeing. I mean, I only see it from my side. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I doubt my content, and then everybody seems to really like it. So I just keep doing it.
But this also is his only channel. We have collectively like 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got the Amsoil Adam channel, which is, we commonly refer to it as X-Treme Bikes, the vendor life, because that's really what it was started at, is just showing us going around. And I do, oil tech stuff. I've done the video like for your product and everything on there. But people wanted to see some of the stuff we were doing at home as well. And I was putting up a couple of the home videos. They weren't getting as good of views. And the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you put content that's drastically different from your normal content, YouTube doesn't push it. So I decided to start a whole second channel, which actually the third channel. So we've got the Halstead Homestead, and that's just the projects we do around home or visiting places. It's actually called Halstead Homestead and Mountain Life. So if we go visit someplace here in the mountains, it's really pretty or scenic or whatever, we put that in there as well.
Yep.
Excuse me. We've got a pretty good trucking base because we drive a big truck around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I have a CDL. My son has a CDL. We started a trucking business a while back that was going to be for him. That didn't work out, but because I had the channel, we documented that as well. And people really enjoyed following that along. But trucking content, motorcycle content are different. So I gave that its own channel. It's not as big, but it's its own channel. So I have to separate things. And
there's a lot of bikers that are truckers. A lot.
And a lot of truckers that are bikers too.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because there was a guy who was in Michigan, and he called and he's like, can I come by and get a dolly and a lift? I'm going to be right by you. We're like, sure. So he pulled up his whole rig and parked it around the corner, and he came in and bought a dolly and a lift.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
No.
That is awesome.
So, yeah.
But that's the reason I separated the channels, is just to keep that content diversity separated, just because it helps the YouTube algorithm. Believe me, it would be much easier for me to just keep it all on one channel, but I don't think the channel would ever be as successful that way. So then this way, if people don't want to see me building a deck in the backyard like I'm currently doing right now, they don't have to watch that channel. If they just want to see the motorcycle content or the repair stuff or the project builds, they stick with the main channel. If they don't want to see us trucking or doing some truck show stuff, then they don't have to watch that one either. So
Nice. Well, Katie and Adam, it's been such a pleasure having you and getting all the stories and the history behind how X-Treme Bikes came about. It's just been super fun. And I just have to say, I really enjoy hanging out with you guys when I come down to the rallies. It's really
We do have fun, don't we, Renee?
we absolutely loved having you during Sturgis. It was so much fun.
I know. What do you mean she's leaving?
I know. Guys make me feel so at home. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I know during the day we get really busy and we're scatterbrained and we're kind of everywhere. But like in the evenings, like we went out to dinner to Olive Garden and stuff like that. I think we had a really good time. Because then we don't have to deal with the customers and we can have those one-on-one conversations without getting pulled away all the time. Without 500 people coming into the booth.
It was fun. It was definitely fun.
Yes. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.